Hello YouTube chess lovers and my friends, this is Gunjan here. Welcome to the 15th episode of my dirty chess tricks against Sicilian. In this episode, I'm going to show you a nice tricky line in the classical setup of the Sicilian Najdorf variation from the white perspective. The opening arises after the following order: e4, c5, knight to f3, d6, d4, c captures d4, knight captures d4, knight to f6, attacking on e4, knight to c3, defending, and now the characteristic Najdorf move a6, which not only stop the intrusion of any white pieces, but later on black can expand with the move b5 and gain some space on the queen side. Okay, the classical setup start with the move bishop to e2. So as you can see, I have highlighted by the arrows very simple but effective plan of the campaign by white. He wants to castle on the king side, play the move f4 and the move bishop to e3 and get a very good king side attack. We will follow the main line for a while. Black plays the move e6, white castle on the king side, bishop to e7. So now black is all set to castle on the king side, and accordingly white should play the move f4. And if allowed, then definitely e5 will be on the card. So black needs to stop it with queen to c7. And now white continues with bishop to e3. As you can see, black has plenty of choices. Amongst them, if your opponent continues with castle on the king side or the move knight to c6, then I strongly insist you to look out the theory section, as in this video we are going to concentrate on the move b5, which is in fact a modern move recommended by many strong engine. And if you check this position in online database, you will find out that there are more than 300 games played from this position. Well, yes, indeed, this move looks so attractive, except there is one problem, that black is instantly losing after playing this move. You won't believe me, right? But after watching this video and looking at my analysis, you will literally pray that your opponent play the move b5. This is that much dangerous for the black. Okay then, let's start the ball rolling. White's fireworks start with e5. So this pawn is attacking the knight, and in fact black has the only good option in this position is d captures e5. However, in one blitz game my opponent tried to move the knight to d5, but then my forcing analysis gave him the instant losing position. White plays pawn captures d6, bishop captures d6, knight captures d5, pawn captures d5, bishop to f3, attacking on d5, bishop to b7, defending, and now the star move, knight to f5, and white has created multiple threats which cannot be dealt easily. In the game, my opponent tried the move castle on the king side, but after the move queen to d4, it is very obvious that black is losing the game just within 15 moves. The only move f6 has been tried, but now you can see the problem in the black camp. Yup, very simple. Bishop captures d5, and now it doesn't matter whether black captured the bishop or run away. Let's say in the game my opponent tried the move king to h8, but after bishop captures b7, white emerged with an extra piece, and in fact a very easy to play position. So it is very obvious that here black has to accept this pawn, so d captures e5 is forced. After that, white will recapture the pawn, and in this position, black has namely 4 options left. Amongst them, knight f2 d7 is probably the highestly played move in this position, but we should see what happens if your opponent try the other moves. The first move I want to look at is knight to g8, which looks a bit passive, but still black is hoping that he can hold on to this position. But nope, he cannot, as white has this dazzling sacrifice. Knight captures b5. Bam! Well, already black is behind in development, and on top of everything, he is a pawn down. So the only hope left is grab this piece and hope that something is going to work out. But in fact, now white reveals the whole point behind sacrificing a piece. He can deliver this check, and after black block the check with any of the move, let's say bishop to d7, white has this lethal reply, queen to f3, and at least white will get an exchange in this variation. The second move I want to consider is knight to d5, which looks more natural in this position. But once again, it leads to instant disaster for the black camp after knight captures d5, pawn captures d5, and now the star move. Yup, it's knight captures b5 once again, and after pawn captures b5, and this time around we have queen to d5, and more or less same story as per the last variation. Well, some of you are already wondering what happens if queen captures e5, which is in fact the third bad option for the black, as after the move bishop to f4, black queen has the only space left. But it looks quite good, as after queen to c5, after all, black is pinning our knight. Well, guess what? Here the fun starts with bishop to f3. So we are attacking 2 pieces, and black has very limited options left in this position. The first obvious response, knight to d5, obviously fails because of the simple tactic, knight captures d5, pawn captures d5, and now the nice deflecting move, b4. If queen captures b4, then bishop to d5, and black is going to lose a piece. So black has to keep supporting d5, and only good way to do it is to play queen to c4. But nevertheless, after rook to e1, white is threatening the move bishop to d6, something which black needs to look out immediately. And if he now plays the move queen to b4, which looks like pairing the threat, but there comes bishop to d5, and losing a piece is unavoidable. Probably the most critical line at this position is rook to a7, sacrificing the knight. Black's idea is, after white captures the knight, he wants to play rook to d7 and gain the piece back. Now, before I move on, I'd like you to pause this video and find out how actually white can save the piece. Okay, are you confident enough? Let's see, do you manage to keep your piece? The first move is very obvious, knight to e2, supporting the knight. And when black plays the obvious move e5, which looks like indeed winning a piece, but white has this nice move in the sleeve, b4, our old friend, which deflects the queen. Point is, whether you take the pawn or move away, let's say queen to b6, then even though it looks like both the white pieces are hanging, just one move, bishop to e5, and magically white is saving his piece after all the complications. So considering all the options, let's see the most critical response here, knight f to d7, And at first sight, this move looks very obvious. Black is attacking twice on e5, and that is not a good way to defend this pawn. Well, chess is a game of surprise, and actually here white has specially invited black to go into this position as he has a wonderful winning shot, which in fact wins the game on the spot. Before I show it to you, I like you to pause this video and find out a move which instantly give white a winning position. Well, I hope you find this wonderful blow. Boom! The first time when I see this move, I said, wow, what a move. The most interesting part about rook captures f7 is, if you turn on any engine, it will not show this move instantly, but after the depth of 19 or 20, this move suddenly start coming on the top. So this can be used as a great surprise weapon in FIDE tournaments, as there are in fact no games from this position. Here black more or less obliged to capture this rook, as if we continue with knight captures e5, then rook captures g7 is a very strong reply, and queen to e5 has the same problem of bishop to f4. So let's see what is the idea behind this beautiful rook sacrifice after the move king captures f7. Well, first white wants to deliver this check, and now black has three options. Of course, king cannot go to f8 due to the simple knight e6 check, and the queen is a goner. And if the king goes to the g8, then we have this another dazzling sacrifice in this position, namely knight to d5. Well, if black doesn't take this, then we'll take the bishop and then play the move queen to f3. So more or less, black is obliged to take the second piece. But after that, I think you already guessed it. Yes, absolutely right. Queen to f3, threatening mate as well as capture on d5. And in fact, there is only one saving resource in this position, knight to e5, which I'm afraid are not good enough, as after queen captures d5 check, king to f8, rook to f1 check, bishop to f6, and now the winning move, knight captures b5, bam! Well, it's nothing but a clearance sacrifice to checkmate the black king, as after pawn captures b5, bishop to c5, queen captures c5, even though this is not enough to stop the mate, as after queen captures c5, king to b8, queen captures c8, bishop to d8, and queen captures d8, the black baby is trapped in the corner. Okay, so the fourth reply is g6. Well, after that, queen to f3 check, so keeping eye on the corner rook. And once again, king has three options. The first move, king to g7, obviously pretty bad. Knight to e6, getting the black queen, so that's completely out of equation. If king to g8, then we have the same pattern, knight to d5, attacking two pieces. And funny enough, here black even cannot take this knight, as after e captures d5, we have the queen captures d5 check. And now no matter wherever the king goes, let's say king to f8, then we have this lovely knight e6 check, which catching the queen again and again. So the fourth reply at this point is, black has to play knight captures e5, counterattack the queen. But the forcing sequence goes as follows: knight captures c7, knight captures f3 with a check, and after the move bishop to f3 and rook to a7. It seems like black is an exchange up, but this is just time being, as after knight to e6, white is attacking this rook, and black rook doesn't have any square. So the best reply goes as capture c7, and after knight captures c7, after all the transaction, it turns out that white emerged with a superior piece development and a clear pawn up. Probably the most critical response here by the black is to play king to e8, but after that, white will continue with knight to e6 attacking the queen, queen to e5 attacking two pieces. So white response is force. White has to play bishop to g4, saving both the pieces, and now indeed white has a simple threat, bishop to f4, and then nabbing the rook in the corner. Well, I reached this position against a 2300 rated opponent, and in this game my opponent continues with knight to b6, safeguarding the rook. I played bishop to f4, and he continues with queen to f6. Never lose the tempo on the queen, so the obvious response is knight to e4, and my opponent plays queen captures b2, attacking my rook. Okay, now we have some forcing sequence. I give him this check. He played king to d8. And as my knight is protected on c7, I decided to save my rook with a tempo, rook to d1 check. My opponent blocked the check with the knight. Now I regain one of my pieces with knight captures 8. My opponent captured my knight. I played knight to d6. So as you can see, this move creates multiple threats. So by force, black has to give up the bishop. So he played bishop captures d6. And I simply captured it with my bishop. Okay, white is attacking the knight. So my opponent plays a knight to b6. And after bishop to c5, I think this is a horrible position for the black, even though he's a piece up. Currently, white is threatening the move bishop captures b6 as well as bishop to d4, and in the game my opponent played the move king to c7, which turned out as an instant losing move, as after queen to f4 check, knight to e5, and now bishop to d6, which not only regained the final piece, but at the end it will give this killer punch to two major pieces, and black is completely paralyzed. Well, I hope you enjoy and learn this wonderful attacking line in the classical setup of the Najdorf variation. Remember guys, if your opponent continue with knight f to d7 at this point, then give him this root shock, rook captures f7, and no matter however black plays, he will get nightmares about this line. Well, thank you for watching this video. Feel free to like, subscribe and comment, and I'll meet you in my next episode very soon. Bye and take care.